But before we continue, do you notice what I'm wearing? This is the Shadiversity hoodie. And I think it's good that I'm wearing it next to Oz because look at how ragtag Oz is and look how great this hoodie is. Also, I've been meaning to ask, why the hell are you just making it mismatched?
Oh, because it's missing so many buttons.
You can still try.
It's too tight.
The top button is...
I have a big neck.
You look like such a hobo.
Well, I haven't showered in 3 days. No.
So avoid looking like a hobo and grab the official Shadiversity Brigandine hoodie because they're really cool and really high quality. Check them out, link in the description. Welcome back to The Watch, and Oz, we need to talk about Adobe.
Oh. What'd they do this time?
They have a new terms of service.
Yeah?
And it is wild.
What organ do they want from you this time?
Access to all your files.
Why?
To open them and look at them and get a license to... it's crazy.
Are you going to see all the thumbnails I'm making with Nathan?
Okay.
I'm not even using them. I'm using Critter. They're free, awesome alternative.
So Grums reports on some of this, right? He says, the Adobe controversy gets even worse. Adobe says they own what you make.
What? No. No. Seriously?
We've made some changes to the Adobe general use terms regarding the use of software and services, including clarified that we may access your content through both automated and manual methods, such as for content review.
Content review? It's not your bloody content.
Modified our rights to delete content for inactive accounts. Updated the period to resolve disputes for all things. All right, so that's one of the like warning things that people are like, hang on, what are you saying? Okay. License to your content. This is part of the terms of service. Solely for the purpose of operating or improving the service and software, you grant us, meaning Adobe, a non-exclusive, worldwide, royalty-free, sub-licensable license to use, reproduce, publicly display, distribute, modify, create derivative works based on, publicly perform, and translate the content. It's like, what?
They've just killed their, this is them, not even shooting themselves in the foot, shooting themselves in the liver.
Yeah, in the face. That'll be more like it in the head. This is suicidal for them. It is so bad. By the way, they've been trying to say, hang on. This has been in our terms of service for 5 years. What's your issue with it? You've already accepted it. And people are like, no, that doesn't make it better. It just makes all your terms of service from back 5 years as insane. It's only because now it's getting exposed.
We've been poisoning you for 5 years. What's wrong?
Yeah, exactly. That's been their cope. That's been their logic and defense. It's like, what? I'll break down what we just read because that is insane. That right there. It continues. For example, we may sublicense our right to the content to our service providers or to other users to allow the service and software to operate as intended, such as enabling you to share photos with others separately on Section 4.6.
That sounds like a tricky way of saying we're going to share your stuff to other people.
Yeah, this is insane. When you hear this, right, let me break down the legal jargon because I've dealt with contracts, a bit already, right?
You'll also want to explain to non-content creator people why this is a big deal.
Why this is saying. When it says you grant Adobe a non-exclusive, so see all these amendments. This is all before license. Non-exclusive, worldwide, royalty-free, sub-licensable license.
Yeah.
This is insane, okay? So a license is permission, legal permission that you grant someone to use your copyrighted material in a certain way.
Yeah.
You are not giving them copyright over it, but you are giving them rights to use it. And it's insane. Some of the defense that Adobe has been coming out is saying, we're not taking away your copyright. And it's like, that doesn't matter. You're granting yourself a license to it.
Yeah.
Okay? They think people are stupid.
Not just that, but so non-exclusives, meaning not only it's not just for Adobe.
Yes.
Worldwide, so for every country, royalty-free. So
they don't have to pay for it.
But specifically royalty-free sub-license.
No. Sub-licensable. You know what that means?
So that they can license to other people.
With the license you give them, they can license your content to other people. This is one of the most insane overreaches I have ever seen, right? It's also non-exclusive, which means like they can grant it to other people. Worldwide, wherever they are in the world, they have this right. Royalty-free, they don't need to pay. Sub-licensable, they can grant the sub-license at any whim. Okay?
Any reason to anyone.
In any regard to anyone in the world. License. And this license allows them to use, reproduce, publicly display, distribute, modify, create derivative works based on, publicly perform, translate the content. Like, that's everything. It's like, we're not taking your copyright, but we will give ourselves a license that gives us every single bit of right over your license that copyright grants. It is insane.
And you imagine a company that makes a service or a product, and in your terms of service, you target the livelihood of the people who pay to use your products. Are you insane?
It is one of the most crazy overreaches like I have ever seen, right? Their response to this has been so bad. They've been trying to say, look, we're only putting this in the contract so we can do this, and that. Meaning, like, we're only going to be using it for content that is held on Adobe services, like their cloud services. The thing is, though, when they say we're only going to be using it for this, and that, that is such a disingenuous, dishonest deflection, because that's them saying, we're only going to use it for this, even though we have the right to use it for everything else.
Yeah.
They still have the rights based on this contract, description, this contract language, to do everything it implies.
Yeah.
But then they're saying, but we're not going to use it for all of that, even though we have the rights to, and we can use your content for, like, everything. And so it's such dishonest bullcrap. They're basically saying, so sign away your rights to everything, your life to us, and we promise that we will not misuse this power we have over you in any way ever going forward. It's insane.
Just the gall of it.
Yes.
This is like some cyberpunk evil corporation
Yes.
thing to do. But here's the thing, we're not quite there yet. We almost are, apparently, but like, we have a right to not use your thing, or, there's other places we could go, the high seas. But what the are you insane?
I know. And like, reproduce, like when it says to use, reproduce, publicly display, distribute, these are all sole rights that copyright owners are supposed to have. A copyright owner, without giving any license to anyone else, has the sole right to do this. But Adobe is saying, oh, by the way, if you use our software to do this, or upload it to our cloud, or is it only uploaded to cloud, because they're trying to murky that part, we can do anything. We can do it all. Use, reproduce, publicly display. By the way, this is all royalty free. They don't need to pay you a cent.
Yeah.
The thing that throws me, right? Distribute, modify, create derivative works based on. That part right there, the derivative works based on, is insanity.
Yes, and also, right, so they don't pay you a cent, right? Mm-hmm. However, with the sub-license of them being able to give it to anyone, basically anyone for any reason, that implies that they would share that with, they might share it with people who are paying for the service as well. Mm-hmm. So therefore, they're making money off of your work, and you don't get a cent.
Yes, because they have a sub-licensable license, so they can sub-license the license you gave them for money to other people. They can sell your content and the rights to use it in this way, and they can put it in their services and everything. And the create derivative works, right? A derivative work is anything that's based on it. So if I create an intellectual property like Star Wars, right? An image of a Jedi that someone created. This is my own original character. If it's a Jedi and it uses the Jedi uniform or anything, that is a derivative work of a copyrighted IP.
Yeah.
You technically don't have the right to do that. This is what people don't understand. All fan art is actually legally in breach of copyright law. If the copyright owners, this would be stupid because it's retarded that they would ever do this, but according to copyright law, they technically could sue anyone for making any fan art if they distribute it online.
You know who's stupid enough to do that? Games Workshop. They did that.
They did that, right? Because it's so dumb, because shoots themselves in the foot. Fan art is just literally an
free
expression. It's free advertising, expression of people's appreciation of the IP. Okay? and then to, create derivative works based on public perform and translate the content. It is crazy. That's everything. That is everything.
So for people who don't know, right, Photoshop is you can use other programs like Inkscape or even what's their vector-based one?
There's been
Illustrator.
a couple people mentioning. Yeah, there's Krita. There's
no. I mean, so
GIMP is another one people have been mentioning.
I just meant they use for graphic designers, you use Photoshop, you use Illustrator,
Mm-hmm.
you might use Animate, but I'm assuming this is not just for if it's for Photoshop, surely it's for everything else too.
Oh no, yeah, this is for the entire Adobe suite.
Okay, see ya, Adobe, you're done. You've destroyed your business doing this. I can't. This is the most suicidal business move I have ever seen since Adolf Hitler killed himself.
It's insane. I can't believe what they're thinking, and the fact that they actually admitted this thing was in previous contracts
for 5 years. You're done.
Maybe it wasn't 5 years, but it was several years beforehand, and literally that was their defense. You've already signed up to it. What's your issue? It's what are you insane? That's your defense. We've been abusing you. It's like someone saying, I've been raping you for years already. You didn't know about it. What issue do you have?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, people are going to have an issue.
Okay, why would you do this?
So there's a couple of murky elements to this. It might only be for content that is put on Adobe's services. This has been their defense. They're saying this is a necessary, this is not true. This is not true when they say it's a necessary thing that they need to operate their service. Because if your content is stored on Adobe's services, they need to be able to reproduce the content to store it on their service because it's a digital version stored on a cloud. They need then, if it's on Adobe services, they need to make sure it's legal because if something terrible like CP or something is discovered on their services, they could be legally liable. So they need to then moderate what's on their servers. So therefore, that means they need the right to open your files and look in them.
Yeah, but they could just say that instead of we have a right to take this and do whatever we want with it and profit from it.
And take every single right over it, right? So that's the thing why they've been trying to say, we're only doing it for this, when the legal actual language gives them license to do way more. Way more. They've been saying that you can opt out of them doing this by saying, don't back up my stuff online, everything like that. I don't know if that's necessarily true because this thing right here, they say solely for the purpose of operating or improving the service and software.
But they can literally say anything they want to at the end of the day.
That is vague. They could justify nearly anything and say it was for the purpose of operating or improving the service. We needed to, sell your licensed works.
So we can make money, so we can improve the service.
Improve the service, exactly, right? It's some of the most scummy corporate bullcrap language, purposely made to be vague, right? To basically protect them if they ever went to court, because they could be interpreted to mean anything, okay? And there's also other really big issues with this, okay? If you save anything, not only save, there are inbuilt features on Photoshop and other things now, right, that uploads elements of your open work to cloud-based servers for processing. Generative fill and other features, right? Or the selection tool that can auto-select a person, right? People aren't aware that's founded on AI, and there's a version of it that is more precise, that uses cloud-based technology. So whenever you do that, that sends your image straight to the server. And as soon as it's on their servers, all of this comes into play.
This is why you should start using Krita, because Krita has the generative AI thing, but it's entirely local, right? It's the easiest thing in the world to install. It has everything that regular Stable Diffusion has, and it's completely free.
I'll seriously give it a look.
I've been using it for my thumbnails. And what do you think of my thumbnails, Shad?
Sometimes I avoid them, Oz.
Okay, apart from those ones, but
there's some creativity you put in them. Let me say that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, like I said, there are features that actually do upload things to Adobe services without you being aware of it. The other issue, a big issue here, right, is this also enables them for both automated and manual review, for both automated and manual methods, so that content will be accessed, all right? And so an individual, a person, can manually access any content that ends up on Adobe's servers, right? Something happened recently with, I forget which online server it was, right? But there was a big Nintendo leak because their content was saved on an online server, and they had no legal right to do this, but one of the employees in the company that had manual access to it went rogue and stole the content and leaked it. And so just because Adobe might say, oh, no, it'll never be used for this or that, right? You still have fallible humans having access to people's private information, private content now that can steal it or do whatever with it. And people have been saying, this is insane. There are people who work on confidential things. There are private, material that people also produce and stuff like that they don't want anyone looking at, right? There's people working on NDAs and projects and all this stuff.
Yep.
Proprietary information.
They've just signed away a I don't want to say ridiculous amount of business. Basically, if you want to make money on using that thing,
this should kill Adobe.
Yeah.
This should absolutely just nuke it from orbit. They should not be able to survive with something like this. I think that they are in a bit of damage control and they might try and roll it back, and they need to, because if they don't, they're dead.
It does.
They're dead to me, right? They need to roll this crap back because it's insane.
I just can't believe it, because I know what Adobe is and how popular they are in literally everything and that is business.
Some of the tools that they have been developing are legitimately impressive.
Yeah.
Like Adobe's Generative Expand, which is basically AI outpainting, some of the best I've seen. And I use a lot of different AI tools. There's some legitimately crazy, useful things. I don't need it. It's just easier to use. I can use other AI, local stuff, right? It is easier to use Adobe, right? But they'll lose me as a customer. They could lose so many. It's so stupid what they're doing here.
This is insane. So this is basically a bank that you're signing up for, saying, and they probably do say this in the fine print, but basically, we can take your money at any time and give it to other people if you want to, and earn money from that. I'm basically describing a bank, right? Oh, yeah. Anyway.
So some people are saying this is all purpose for scraping data for AI training. I actually don't necessarily have an issue with certain things used for AI training, because a lot of it is fair use application anyway, and I actually I want to support fair use applications.
Yeah, but there's also the certain
private information should be completely taken out. But I'm aware if I publish anything publicly available to be consumed, I am giving anyone who can access it legally, and if I distribute it globally, that's everyone globally, right? I'm allowing them to use my content in any legal capacity, which means fair use capacities. They can use it for inspiration. They can learn to draw from it. They could actually copy certain elements of it, as long as it isn't a derivative work. They could copy the pose or the expression or certain design elements, and if they change enough, if they transform enough to make it their own, that is completely fair use. Okay, and so that includes looking at my images for AI training and stuff. If I've distributed it, perfectly okay with that. Okay, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. If you distribute your anything for public, consumption, viewing, right? AI training is allowed legally.
But that's and what does this thing let them do?
Well, see, this is the tricky thing. This is where they are trying to get access to content that you are not distributing publicly.
Yep.
That's the problem right there. Going into your files, if it's just kept on their servers, that's like, no, hold up. This is not fair use, because they're trying to say you are allowing us to do it because legally, if you didn't sign this, they have no right to go into people's private anything, images, whatever. If you have not distributed it publicly, that is still private. You have control over what essentially what people do with it, because you haven't granted them, essentially a license. Because like I said, when you publish something online publicly, you are essentially granting a license for people to view it publicly then, and therefore do anything that's within the bounds of the law.
Yeah.
This gives Adobe the legal right to get access to that content. This is the thing. And once they have access to it, they are allowed to do anything with it that's within the bounds of the law. That includes fair use applications.
So Adobe, say goodbye to Hollywood, first of all. Say goodbye to anyone that's making a movie ever, or any serious professional who, isn't under the rock.
That's the ultimate result, which means they have to change this. There hasn't been any update lately. They've just been trying to do damage control of that. It's not really that bad, and you've already been signing up for it, right? No, that's not going to fly. That's not going to be good enough. They need to change this. If they don't, they're screwed. Part of this is also from their money-grubbing attitude.
Yeah.
By making Adobe a pay-to-use service that's always online, everything, because it's always online, that includes the cloud functionality, and that's where this is the whole can of worms. As soon as they are keeping other people's content on their servers, they have legal culpability for what's on their servers, therefore they need to moderate and look into it and all that stuff. If they just made Adobe a product that you can buy and use locally, solves all the problem. But they say, well, everyone's just pirating our software. One, if you didn't charge the most insane prices for your software, people wouldn't pirate so much. And two, people are pirating anyway. You're not solving anything with this. And now there's just so many alternatives that people can use, and they effectively just as good.
No one's pirating Critter. In fact, people are donating to it.
Look at that. Shocking, isn't it? And a lot of people are just saying, all right, give us a list of alternatives, we'll use that. There's already been a really effective alternative to Adobe Premiere. DaVinci.
Yeah.
We use that in the office here for editing.
Yep.
And it works better than Premiere.
It's fantastic. And then, Critter as well. I guess those are the only two ones.
No, I've heard the Photoshop replacements. I've never used it or seen it, but people are saying GIMP is one.
Trust me, you wouldn't want GIMP. I'm telling you, Critter is very close to Photoshop, yeah.
See, so Adobe, keep going if you just want to shoot yourself in the head like this. But it'll be interesting to see. I think they will roll it back. We'll have to wait and see, because that's what we do. Stay on watch.